What is going on here? It's just me. Just little old me. Ah, thank God, I finally am free of the shackles of those other guys, of Sean and all the guests. I can just have some quality time, just me and the stream. Hi guys. Hope you're all doing well. Don't worry, it's not me for the entire thing. I have been told by Sean that he may be a teeny bit delayed, but there's I don't see there's any reason why we can't just this is still playing, man. Why we can't just get started, if I'm honest. Let me just check raw. Don't worry, it's not. Holy crap, my voice is so loud. Right. Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 17 of the Movie Buffs. Yeah, it will not be me for the whole thing. Have no fear. Have no fear. I believe Sean is coming, and potentially somebody else. Because it's a big episode, a lot of stuff has happened since we last talked. I mean, I just gotta make sure I keep Twitter open, just in case I get any DMs from Sean saying, I can't get in the call. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of crazy stuff has happened in the last week or so, which is, it's kept us all on our toes, to say the least. We were gonna do a stream on Sunday, I think, but I believe things came up, so we delayed it a couple of days, and then obviously we've had a lot more drama. And yesterday we did a stream over on Sean's channel. If you haven't checked that out, just search in the bar at the top. You haven't seen it. Movies that maher, M-A-H-E-R. We did a retrospective on Batman vs Superman with Soups Batsy, Max, and Fatma, and it was great fun. Really, really great. It took us like 2.5 hours to get through the whole film, just talking about like our favorite scenes and opinions and all that stuff. But yeah, so that was really good. So hopefully, if you guys want, you can check that out. We also did one for Man of Steel a week ago yesterday, and the hope is that on the 17th. No. Yeah, this is the thing. I'm sure Sean and I will talk about this in a bit. If and when he arrives, we were gonna do a pre-party on. This is an even better co-host. This is an even better turn of events. Hang on, I need to just rearrange this. Oh my God, everyone's here. All right. Oh my God, I can just hear myself relentlessly.
It's okay, my fault.
Here we go. Okay, right. Oh my God, what the hell has happened with this?
Come on, man.
I can't rearrange Zoom. It just won't let me rearrange the call. Hang on. That way? No. That way? What the hell is going on? 3 people. Let's try this one. Okay, this is the Batman vs Superman overlay. Why the hell is Sean all the way over on the left? I think it's because it's... How are you, Sean? You can just talk about how you are.
I'm good.
While
I'm
sort
good.
this out.
I'm here, ready to talk about WandaVision. Talk about
There we go.
Zack Snyder Justice League leaks, posters, trailers. No spoilers though for the leaks, of course.
Absolutely.
I haven't even seen the leaks, so.
I can fix this. Give me 1 second. It's because
I'm lucky.
This is all ready for. No, that's the other one.
Like a jigsaw puzzle.
It is. But I had because I obviously set up the whole overlay for the retrospectives, which I was just telling everybody about.
Oh yes.
Which were a lot of fun. Did you enjoy them?
Yeah, it was good fun. We did 2.5 hours, so you can check that out on my channel. Same it's on the screen right now. And we did 2.5 hours talking about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, of course. And we did Man of Steel last week, and pretty good fun and pretty good engagement from everybody.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. I think I've just got it sorted. I just need to move Casey's overlay so that everyone can see his Twitter and everyone can go flock to his account, no doubt. There we go.
Who invited KC?
Oh, I did. Well, you didn't turn up in the call straight away, so I was like, I'm so alone.
Have to get a new host.
Yeah, and he stepped up. So, what can I say?
Yeah. Barcelona B in the comments goes, hello, I deleted Twitter. I'm not risking seeing the leaks. That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah,
it's not a bad idea.
I technically did the same. I haven't deleted Twitter. I basically just have been on there very minimally. I have still got my tweet notifications on there for several people that I follow and trust. So like the official accounts and stuff. So I'm like, oh, they've, they tweeted out the Cyborg teaser or something, so I'll go check that out. And then I just get out of there. Like, I really riskily clicked on, I think it was one of Sean O'Connell's tweets or whatever, and I'm like, I read the first reply. I'm like, that could have easily just have been a spoiler right there. I could have just ruined the entire movie for myself just by looking at at Twitter for just like 10 fucking seconds. So, yeah, big panic, but I mean...
Yeah, I've just been staying in like DMs, and also notifications on for like the big news outlets and stuff like that. But even like, I don't mind seeing, like, I like for Batman v Superman, I watched every single preview, trailer, magazine, everything. I read up on it because I was so pumped for the movie. Even the same for Logan. Every single interview, anything I could digest about the movie, I would look at. And the same with Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it's just a little bit different when actually the movie is kind of leaked a bit, and there's actually little scenes that we haven't seen yet, or not supposed to see.
Yeah, and as you know, Sean said, we're not going to talk about any spoilers because I think luckily none of us have seen anything. But in terms of, let's say, sentiment, I've heard good things. People have been saying, like, okay, this is actually crazy good. I saw a tweet earlier, and again, no spoilers, don't worry. And I didn't check who it was from because I'm like, I'm not doing any journalistic, I'm not going to do any detective work on Twitter right now, of somebody who said that they only got to see the first hour, but they said it was the best hour of any DC movie they've ever seen. I'm like,
yeah,
what the hell? What did you achieve in the first hour that cements your film at
Crazy.
that point? I mean...
KC, are you up?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh.
Okay, what's your whole take on the leaks?
See, first thing, it looked like it looked very coordinated with all the accounts posting the same frame, or at least from the same scene. The one directed by Zack Snyder and stuff. So I saw
threw
that.
my headset off so quickly. Then I was like, no, don't do it, don't ruin it.
Yeah, I was like, I saw the same frame from like 3 different accounts, and one of them was a verified account as well. So I was like, why are they sharing leaks so openly? And then instantly, a few minutes later, you see a Hollywood Reporter article go up. And I was like, okay, wait, this cannot be just an accident, right? But again, this happened on the HBO Max side, right? So I have very little evidence to say that it's from WB directly, because they literally don't have any access to the servers. They just cannot have that. So one thing is that mostly I lean towards the mistake thing. But again, it could be someone getting paid off to do this, or that could be the way, but I don't see it happening as a purposely sabotaging thing. I don't see that as the definitive thing, because it's still not confirmed, and they already released the statement that it was an error, and it most likely is an error because it can happen, and it has happened in the past. So although I am obviously very careful with WB stuff, and I instantly spot them whenever they do this shit, but this time it was not that obvious.
It's one of those ones where I was talking to my brother about this last night. I was just warning him, be careful online. It would be a different story if it was Tom and Jerry's premiere, like it just went up, and as soon as you clicked on it, it went straight to Justice League. But it being up for, a week now? Like, it's been up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why would somebody be going in? Again, I'm being conspiratorial, but it's... For people who don't want this film to do well, having, leaking the film or, being given early access to the film is the greatest ammunition you can for deflating hype, right? You just tell people, you just leak whatever happens. I don't know. The more conspiratorial of me sides with the idea that it possibly was intentional. But at the end of the day, it could have been, as you say, it could have been a mistake. It could have just been some employee who just doesn't give a shit. His last day. Screw you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory. Could it be paid from the top? The streaming service equivalent of an assassination that we've got on our hands. It's strange, and there's a lot of uncertainty around the release so far, like that Dark Side teaser that was like, is that legit? Is that not? The film fucking leaking. Teasers before, Barcelona B mentioned in the chat, the one that Scott Mendelson talked about, and then Zach just ripped him a new one on Twitter, like that was leaked. The Hallelujah one, I think, wasn't it? So there's a history here. There's a history of this film trying to be messed with.
Yeah, because the DC fandom trailer was leaked as well. Maybe it was done purposely, like by Zach and his team, or maybe HBO Max or someone involved. Because if you want to trend, you trend before DC fandom. You're trending Journey. You're trending after. Maybe that was a tactic. It could have been, or maybe not. But also then the last trailer, the 214 one leaks as well, which is a bit convenient too. And then you have, the movie coming out, even if it's just the first hour, it's kind of online and people can look at it. So I don't know. It is a bit weird. I don't think Warner Bros. Somehow tapped into the system and leaked it. But then again, like, it's just hard to trust them because of what happened. But I think online, some people were saying that this is actually common than you actually think. It's something like playing programs by accident and stuff like that. It's pretty common. It's just it's not as big. Like, we're not involved as like with a show,
True.
like a Netflix or an Amazon show or TV channels as much. We wouldn't really care. Like, oh, they played the wrong TV show. All right, who cares? But this, we're all so invested. It's so big. Like, we're all just like really triggered if anything bad comes to Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I feel
Yeah, I 100% agree that stuff like this does happen from WB, and in the past the leaks have happened and stuff like that. But this particular case has happened from HBO Max's end, like on their servers, on their platform, literally. So I don't think this has anything to do physically. I don't think it has anything to do with WB, because they literally don't have any control to the system. So I do understand why people, would suggest that this could be done by WB, and I 100% agree that other stuff, they have done other stuff, and I completely am with you on that. But this particular thing, I don't think it warrants the same case, because it's just not something that they would have access over. And if they have the whole file for the movie, why don't they just leak it out, to the torrents or something? Why do it via HBO Max? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and even if you did click on Tom and Jerry to watch it, there's only 1 hour and 40 minutes available of the Snyder Cut or something like that on the runtime. So I don't know if you go past an hour and there was more Snyder Cut or what happened, but it was taken down fairly quickly.
Okay.
But
I didn't know.
A lot of spoil. Yeah, that's because I was watching Tree Book Theater, Matt Jarbo's channel, and he was live. And the minute he was live, somebody DM'd him and said, look, it's after leaking on Tom and Jerry. And he went and checked his account, his HBO Max account, to watch Tom and Jerry and see if some of the Snyder Cut come up. But it was just Tom and Jerry that was playing. So they rectified it pretty quick. And there was only 1 hour, 40 minutes of runtime on the actual thing. So, like,
is that because Tom and Jerry is an hour 40, or was that...
I don't know. I don't know what the runtime of Tom and Jerry is. Maybe that is it. But I think it was, if you're going to leak it, you're going to leak the entire thing. It's why leak half of it?
The easiest way is to just drop it on Reddit or torrents. The whole thing. That's how most of the stuff drops. Even Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, some of the episodes in the final season, or I don't know, maybe previous seasons too, but I started noticing during the final season, like, most of the episodes leaked 2 days ahead, and the entire episode used to be up on torrents. So if they had to leak it, they can do it that way. But I don't know why they would put it on HBO Max, plus put it, instead of like Batman v Superman or other DC movies, why put it on Tom and Jerry? Like, it doesn't make sense.
But you're hurting your own brand. Like, Tom and Jerry's for children. And like, I might put on Tom and Jerry to watch just something past the time. I grew up with Tom and Jerry, so I might watch it just for a laugh, see what it's like. But you put it on for your kids. Imagine you leave the room and there's a Batman saying, fuck, you got the Joker slicing throats or something. And your kid is there watching it. It's
Zach confirmed yesterday that it was the history lesson is in the first hour. So there's pretty much R-rated stuff going on in there.
Yeah. And you're hurting your own brand. HBO Max is this newly established platform. And the last thing you do is you put an R-rated property on a kid's show. That hurts your brand big time. So I don't think it was...
the more, I think the more conspiratorial among us would be like, it's a plot to undermine HBO Max as a streaming service. We want to mess with something that completely contrasts with it, scar some kids, then the parents are going to be like, well, fuck you, I'm dropping it. Whether they're going to get that many people, if you want to go down the intentional route, whether they're going to get that many people who are watching putting on Tom and Jerry for their kids a week after it came out, is I don't know. I think if you're going to do it, you would do it right as, I don't know, Tom and Jerry premieres, or I don't know. There's a whole different, as Casey said, there's a whole array of methods that you could take if you're really trying to sabotage. But it's
it's not
when you
impossible.
have the track record, it becomes like the ground is a bit more unstable, and you're like, okay, is there foul play here? I don't know. Somebody at HBO Max actually just got paid off by Netflix to fuck with them. I don't know. I'm not saying any of this is true. This is all allegedly,
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. Like it's like they cannot directly enter the servers and do it, but they can, pay off someone to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone on the inside.
It's hard to trust Warner Brothers because every time Ray Fisher said something, they make a big article, and every time the trailer's supposed to come up for Zack Snyder Justice League, it somehow leaks. But we got
I'll give
Rokan
you
here.
a
He
new
goes,
conspiracy though, if you want.
What's that?
I'll give you a new conspiracy though.
Okay.
Which most people didn't bring up. What would prompt WB to do this? What happened recently?
God, I'm being quizzed. Oh.
The old storyboards.
Oh yeah, I just got a complete mind blank there.
The old storyboards came out, and they were, from WB.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jeff Johns worked on them. He lettered it, and it was Jim Lee as well with Zack Snyder. So maybe they're getting back.
I mean, as a revenge thing, possibly.
Yes.
I don't see it as a divert attention because I think the storyboards have kind of just the momentum behind that's kind of died out fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is where we put on
I
our
cannot
tinfoil
believe
hats.
no one brought this up, because every time someone takes a hit at WB, they backfire, right? They do something. So if this is their move, then something must have prompted them to do it, right? So I cannot think of anything else other than that storyboard thing.
Yeah.
So we put your tinfoil hats on and like, who did it?
Look at me saying that it was HBO Max and then adding to the conspiracy.
Uninvited from the premiere. Fuck you.
But we got Rokan. He's there. He goes, hiya, fellas. We got Jessica. I felt that Darkseid trailer was suspicious too. I know Zach said it was fine, but it just felt sketchy. But it didn't go up in like full HD or anything. It just kind of went up, and there was kind of a bar or a box in the corner as well. Remember that? What was that about, Casey?
It was Casey. You want
Lewis.
to answer it? It was.
You're supposed to be offline, Lewis. I thought you were offline.
No, well, this was before.
Oh, okay.
So I was fine.
I'm sorry, what?
This was it was an official ad on Twitch, right? So
Yeah.
I think the guy screen recording it either had something up as an overlay, or if it was from the stream, I can't remember. But it wasn't a file that it wasn't like Twitch were like, oh, we'll go on our YouTube channel and we'll upload this and say this is an exclusive for Twitch. It was just some guy. I think he said in the original tweet he saw it once and then basically just sat there waiting for it to appear again and then recorded his screen while it was playing. So yeah, so it was a bit scuffed, and it wasn't officially like certified for most of the day, so, and that was a bit suspicious as well, but had the hallmarks of everything that was legit and eventually confirmed to be legit. But this is the thing, everyone's just so paranoid right now, like it's so uncertain as to what can we share, what can't we share. I haven't seen his newest interview with Grace, but I'm going to essentially just put like a blanket on that, because what I want to do is, given that we are so close, any information I just want to keep to like a lower level, in case there are people who are like, well, I don't want to hear any more, I don't mind. Well, then again, if you're watching the stream, the fuck you doing? But like,
Right.
It's just a case of like, everyone's so fucking paranoid at the moment, and if it's like, oh, well, you know what, actually from now on, I don't want to hear anything new. Like, I know the headlines from the Grace interview, but it's just like, I'm thinking I'm just gonna wait until I've seen the film, until I've watched it, because it's like, oh yeah, there's this extra thing, and oh this is what it's called, and then you're like, I wanna save some surprises,
Yeah. Well, Zach did say in that interview like how to watch it. What's the best way to watch it? If you can't watch it all in one go, where do you stop? Where do you pause and stuff like that? If you want to go take a break to get drink or food and stuff like that. But yeah, Barcelona B goes, imagine the 5-year-olds wanting to watch Tom and Jerry. Then Zack Snyder's Justice League shows up. It's pretty funny. I'm sure there's a story out there somewhere where that happened. Fatma's here. Hello, Fatma.
Hello.
Rokan goes, I remember a season of Orange is the New Black leaked like 3 months before it aired. Yeah, things like this happen a lot. Things leak. And even the new movie, Boss Level, Frank Grillo, Mel Gibson, Dave the Film Junkie interviewed Frank Grillo recently. That movie leaked like 3 months ago. So, it's only coming out now in the US and Hulu and stuff like that. But I actually think it brought a lot of buzz to the Snyder Cut because it was all positive stuff about what people saw. And maybe it might be a good thing for the Snyder Cut because Endgame, was it, or Infinity War? One of those kind of leaked as well. Big moments leaked out of that. Yeah. And it kind of helped the movie as well because anticipation. People were like, what the F? They're actually going to do this?
Yeah, and I think it kind of changes I think for a lot of people, if they do get caught up in the narrative, they think, I'm not going to watch that because I think it would be a load of shit. And then they start hearing, oh, it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good, And also, that's not coming from critics either. That's just coming from ordinary people who are just like, oh yeah, I got to see like the first hour and a half of Justice League and it was fucking amazing. And everyone's like, oh, okay, how did you get to see that? And then they explain the situation and it's like, okay, so you're not being paid to say this. You're not being asked to say this. Maybe I'll take a chance on it. So who knows? If you want to go like right off the deep end of conspiracies and say that this was all intentionally done in order to, leak it to this person who's going to say, oh yeah, that's actually great and risk tormenting, and traumatizing a bunch of kids, then hey, maybe we'll never know, Yeah.
Kids, did you get spoiled in anything? Nope. Don't say what it is, but did you get spoiled?
No, I haven't. I'm usually pretty good at avoiding spoilers, and even if I see an image in front of me, my reflex is pretty good that I can,
It's like when I went on Twitter to look at some of the Cyborg teasers, it was just, I would forget about the leak, and then I would see the official poster and just, and like, it's just an official poster, Jesus.
That's me too.
I'm so paranoid now.
Yeah, I'm very good at that, but also my timeline, I think I haven't, seen any of the people who have been leaking because it was mostly just filled with people who are complaining about the leaks and who are just frustrated about it all. Yeah. So besides, I don't even scroll on my timeline that much either. I'm usually just in DMs, so that way is safer.
That's much fucking safer. Jesus.
I wonder, did the Snyder Cut movement kind of blow it up bigger than it would have been if we just ignored it?
That's what I always think about,
Just dealt with it. HBO Max could have just dealt with it then, but we kind of make a bigger deal out of things because we're so defensive at times, at good times, but then bad times also.
I think
the first thing when you say that there's a leak, people will ask, "Oh, can you DM me?"
Yeah.
I was going to say that one of the things I feel most sorry about is I don't know if you guys probably follow it, but there's that unofficial Zack Snyder's Justice League account on Instagram, and I was like, briefly, I had my phone tilted and I was like, what does it say on their story? And I was like, okay, it's safe, I can look. And then the next one, what does it say? But one of the things that they put was that it was just, somebody just DM'd me a spoiler for the film. And I'm like, I just feel so sorry for that person. For the person who leaked it, I feel sorry for them, but the person who got it spoiled. Like, imagine you just building up your own fan account, sharing all the good stuff, you've got a large following, and people are just like, yeah, this happens. You're like, and you're powerless against it at times, because you might just see, I have a message notification on Instagram, and you just take a quick glance, or you don't even open the message, it's just Instagram showing like the first few words of the message, and you just see like, Batman isn't real, and then you're like, that's just completely ruined it for me, Yeah.
I know under some posts, people were trying to spoil it, posting pictures and stuff. I think Brandon Davis had a lot on his post, but he put a lot of them into hidden replies. So do be careful when you go into comments. Just kind of, I know you see a post on Twitter or whatever, and you're just like being nosy. You just click on the comments. What's everyone saying about this? And then someone just puts a picture there, and you have to see it before. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times I've been spoiled by The Walking Dead because it airs 24 hours before the UK, and I don't try and look for these things, but they just pop up.
I had the entirety of Logan spoiled for me, 2 days before it came out, which was pretty. And that was the last time I used Facebook. I'm out of that. Yeah. Like, you assholes.
Force Awakens, I got told, or I don't know how it happened. I just seen it. the night I was going to see the movie, I probably shouldn't have been on my phone anyway, but I got to see that Han Solo died. So I was like, what's going on?
I think I had probably the most like self-inflicted one I ever had was I was on Rotten Tomatoes right before BVS came out, and I was just looking at the scores or whatever, and then I just saw like one review that just said the film like begins and ends with a funeral. And I was like, oh, why did I do that to myself? Like, now I'm going to spend the whole thing. Luckily, I was, like, fanboying way too hard with BVS that, like, as soon as the film started, I just completely forgot. And then as soon as, like, they got to the ending, I was like, then the connection formed, and I was like, oh, okay. So thankfully, it wasn't that big a deal. One of my favorite ones was, there was that Wonder Woman 84 fan account on Twitter or whatever, and there was an inter-page competition where they were like, vote for your favorite comic book fan page or whatever, and this page, like, they really thought that they were going to win, very self-entitled, and I think they got knocked out pretty early, so they just said this person dies. And they just tweeted it because they were so angry. It turned out that it was wrong, I think, so but it was just like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's so annoying. Did you gotten spoiled, Casey, ever? What's the biggest spoiler that you ever came across?
Like I said, I'm pretty good at avoiding that, so nothing has been spoiled for me so far, except, like you said, Force Awakens. I think it was one of my friends during the Facebook days. They put up a status, and it started off with something completely random, and then it just read into the spoiler. Like how they trap you. It was that kind of a status, and I was like, wow. It was the same thing. Han Solo dies, and it wasn't that impactful for me because at that point of time I was just getting into Star Wars, so it didn't matter to me that much.
But
I only watched that movie doesn't heavily rely on that.
Because I only binged the Star Wars movies, all of them, before the 6 days before Force Awakens to catch up to get into it. So I didn't really feel anything for Han Solo at that time anyway. But I'll leave it on this one.
The most recent one that I had was what the Ares reveal. I had that run for me. I was looking at the cast of Wonder Woman on Google, and it just said David Thewlis Ares. I was like, for fuck's sake.
By the way, congrats to both of you for finally getting Zack Snyder's Justice League in your countries.
Supposedly, I'm waiting for the official announcement.
Those pages haven't put it up on their Twitter accounts yet.
That's why I was like, I saw, I think Krypton Codex tweeted out, and I was like, ooh, okay. And then I looked on, like, I followed the link, and it was there, and I'm like, I'm just gonna let it breathe. I'll wait for it to be properly announced, and then hopefully Now TV, Sky Cinema, or whatever, and we'll be able to get it. But as of like 8 o'clock in the fucking morning, dude. I get up at a normal time in the morning. Do you know how hard that is?
Especially now with lockdowns, but I'm just going to sleep at 8 a.m. But we were confused. We didn't know when it was coming out, but look, at least we know there's a place for it now. I'd rather just have it on PVOD so I could buy it and watch it whenever I wanted to. But I suppose if you have Sky, you can do the same. Barcelona Vigo's Infinity War was spoiled for me because of people talking about it out in the open. I'll tell you a funny story in a second. The biggest thing that was spoiled for me was that Red Wedding, because I was working on the night it aired, and I seen on Twitter people going, I've ever seen Game of Thrones. I won't spoil it.
That's a rough one to get spoiled. That's a really rough one to get spoiled for you.
I haven't seen Game of Thrones, so it's spoiled on me now, but I don't mind. It's okay. I'm not invested.
You know what, Sean? You deserve it for not watching Game of Thrones.
As a punishment. It gets to, like, after about 2 or 3 years, if you get it spoiled after then, it is your fault, You know
what's worse, though? This guy is in the fucking show, and he hasn't seen it.
But I don't care. I'll watch it, no problem. It doesn't matter. I'm okay. It's okay. Spoiler, I said I watched every single piece of footage from Batman v Superman before I went to go see it, and I still loved it. So
in all fairness, the this isn't going into this, but the Red Wedding is more like a term for a scene. There's no point where they say, "Oh, welcome to the Red Wedding," and you're like, "Oh, okay, well now I know shit's about to happen." It's like it just became. I don't know if it was it wasn't the name of the episode, but I think it just became like the in-universe name for that thing that happens. So there'll be so if you do go through Game of Thrones, you probably won't know that you're in the scene until it actually happens. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah. But I went to Infinity War opening night, or I think it was the midnight showing was the night before. I went like the next day. Me and my friend went, And so we're sitting there watching, I'm pumped for Infinity War, can't wait to watch it all. And the opening scene happens where Thanos is on the ship with Thor's people and stuff. And my friend just goes to me and he goes, because his brother had seen it the night before at the midnight show, and he goes, Patrick said Loki dies. And I was angry, and then he goes, I'm only messing, I don't know if it's true or not. Then Loki dies. And I'm looking at him like, well, you're so stupid.
It's
idiot.
like it's one of those things you just have to like.
No one ever dies in the MCU anyway.
Well, yeah, true.
Yeah.
No one's ever really gone, as they would say in Star Wars. But like, you have to wonder what the rationale is. It's like at some point, just to like, if you're having a normal conversation, you say maybe you accidentally say it, but being in the film, in the actual scene where it happens, to then say, "Oh, this happens," by the way. Like, what is the thought process that's going through your mind? I will never get it. But wasn't the before Infinity War? I think it happened in like the States or something, where loads of people were queuing up outside the film, and a dude just walked out and just blurted out the ending to everyone in the queue, and they beat the absolute shit out of him. And he had to go to hospital because he was like life-threatening injuries because these guys beat him up.
Well, I don't really mind because at least the big dust one wasn't spoiled to me. I was actually shocked for that moment. So, yeah. But will we move on to the promos?
Yeah. I honestly didn't think we'd even spend half an hour on the leaks, but you know. That's
KC rambling on.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, so what have we had? We had 6-7 days of awesome leaks that we have one for each character. We've got Batman, then Superman, then Aquaman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and then technically a Darkseid one.
Darkseid,
which was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
But all right, KC, we'll start with you. Do you have a favorite teaser out of the ones that we've gone?
Yeah, I would say it's between the Batman one and the Cyborg one and the Flash one.
And the Superman one and the
Yes.
Does one mean different in India? Does it mean several?
Because see, every teaser has its specialty. Like the first one has the Batsuit. It had the first reveal of Darkseid voice, and it has the Martian Manhunter line.
Yeah.
But again, there's Cyborg's one, which we get the completely unseen footage because we've never seen those stuff before. And it's Cyborg, obviously, so everything looks beautiful. And of course, you have Flash. So Flash is like pretty good on screen, especially with Zach's visuals, and that's great. So yeah, it's tough to choose. But again, if I want to choose from something that's unreleased, I would say the Darkseid one.
That was scary. That Darkseid one,
dude.
Some of the dialogue
nightmare
was crazy.
Yes.
And like it looks like he looked like I've seen earlier in the day people say, "Oh, the CGI for Darkseid is terrible," and that's like it's not really him. It's like a message being sent to Steppenwolf through lava. It looks like it must be the way they send text messages.
It wasn't obvious, okay? I was at first like, wait, is that an unfinished shot of Darkseid in there? Then someone told me that, oh no, it's the stone that's turning into like Apocalypse and FaceTime, and I was like, okay, good.
I mean, I love the fact that it's just, this is how we communicate. There's fucking lava everywhere, you know. We can't come up with like a safe way of communicating, so we'll just put lava in there, you know.
Yeah. Shout out to Ali Leon in the chat. He's here watching. Shout out to you, man.
Sean,
or girl. Sorry.
What was your favorite one, Sean? What was your favorite out of the teasers that we've gone?
See, it's hard to pick because there's a character, but then there's also dialogue from different characters in it. So,
yeah, but one means something different in Ireland, and we know that, all right? Like Sean's like, oh, I'm just gonna get one drink, and then all of a sudden he's lying down.
He's already wearing the number, so might as well say it.
Unite the 7, huh? See, everything's meta here. Everything's meta. Meta. But because I'm a Batman stan, so everything Batman does, I'm just going to love. That was pretty badass. But I think some of the dialogue in it was brilliant. Lex Luthor saying, "I can give you the Batman." Obviously talking to Deathstroke. Joker's laugh mixed in there as well. Alfred, and then just like Superman pulling Batman up. But actually, one that surprised me was that Flash one was pretty cool. Yeah. And some of the shots and Ezra Miller, there's loads of shots of Ezra Miller that we haven't even seen yet, which is ridiculous. And of course, Kirstie Clemens, who looks very beautiful, I should say, in that shot. I think she'll be breaking some hearts on the 18th. But yeah, the visual effects look absolutely insane, and just that piece of dialogue about Billy Crudup, who's playing Henry Allen, to him, like about you can be something, you can do something, you can be better. Like I just think there's a lot of heartbreaking dialogue in this, and I did tweet that this is the potential to be the greatest comic book movie of all time based on all the trailers I've seen, because the dialogue is out of this world.
It is. It's beautiful, and I did really like the cyborg one. I think the whole "I'm not alone" dialogue, and I think we know who he's replying to at that point, but again, we'll go into it because maybe people who've seen that teaser and then they're like, no, I don't want to know who he's talking to or what that scene's from, because I think like the line that's said to him before that was something that Zach shared on a Vero post years ago, so it could be something that people don't necessarily know, but it's knowing the connection that's there, knowing that it should hopefully be, mirroring his arc throughout the film and how he feels now, and it's like, you're for something really beautiful. But my personal favorite moment from all of the teasers, I think, is Wonder Woman leaping at Steppenwolf. I just thought that was so badass.
Yeah,
like
that was good.
There's no spring off anything. She just leaps that hard, and it's
that's the first time we've seen the continuation of that scene. When she pops down and she's in between them. We never knew what happened next, but now that's what happens. Kind of.
I think there's also one difference between Whedon's Justice League and what we saw with the teaser so far, is that it might be only a subtle thing, and I may be wrong in my recollection of this, but I think in Joss Whedon's one, she just lands. In the Snyder Cut one, basically every single time we get a new teaser of that shot, the damage she does to the ground when she lands gets like bigger and bigger and bigger. Like the whole ground shatters upon her impact. I'm like, that's badass. But her just like throwing herself at Steppenwolf because she's just this is angry Wonder Woman. This is furious Wonder Woman. You know what Steppenwolf has done to Themyscira, and he's taunted her throughout, and just seeing her like unleashed and saying, because it's the best bit, is that dialogue in the background where it's like, don't engage alone, we'll do this together, cuts to her immediately throwing herself in on her own just to say, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. Loved it.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed again with this movie is that so when it was in its initial stage, right, so it was 214 minutes, and now it's 4 hours. So I think Zach, and we have seen this so far in the teasers and stuff, Zach has added a lot of stuff that's just full CGI. And Wonder Woman leaping is another thing that's if you can see the close up of Wonder Woman's face in that, you can see that's full CGI shot. And stuff like that has been added in because obviously you cannot get all the actors to do like days and weeks of shooting, right?
Yeah.
So I think he added a lot of the dark side apocalypse stuff that wasn't in the initial movie, and all of that doesn't need any actors. You can just make a full CG background, full CG characters, and just have Ray Porter voice from his own room, So that's a pretty genius move. And I saw one shot that potentially could be a recycled shot from Man of Steel, but changed suit and stuff like so. A lot of the stuff like that is basically added and mostly fully CGI, right? So you don't need actors to be present in the room. And I thought that was a pretty good thing. And I think when we see the final movie, we'll pick out scenes like that, and it will be obvious to us, like, okay, yeah, this one was not in the movie, but again added later on. Yeah, and that was again in the Dark Side teaser.
I think the most obvious example, not quite a full CG, but of the extra stuff, the additional photography would be pretty easy to spot. Mostly because it's a self-contained scene, but like even from the teasers alone, you can kind of get the vibe that this is Zach handheld doing his own thing. But I mean, that's a nice thing because you can have.
Isn't that the CGI bad though?
Is what?
Isn't the CGI bad?
No.
People are saying that because of the lens looking so different from the Fabian cinematography, people are saying that the CGI is bad. I don't understand why they're saying that.
I love it because the story where Justice League takes place in modern day, and their story. The nightmare scenes take place in an alternate timeline. So I like there's shaky cam. I like that maybe the shots aren't so clear in the background because this is a dystopian world. This is a nightmare world where the world has gone to shit. So I like this kind of the character looks and their costumes suits the world they're in right now. Kind of messy, dirty, all over the place. So I think it's really cool because it shows you because Man of Steel, watch it, is a very different looking film than Batman v Superman. Justice League already looks like a different complete film as well, 4:3 aspect ratio, all that kind of stuff. But even the Nightmare timeline, which is going to be its own movie if Justice League 2 happens, that's going to look different as well from the other 3 previous ones. So I think it's perfect, and I like it, and I think it suits the tone they're going for in the Nightmare world.
I was going to say, I think it gives it a bit more of an intimate feel as well. You have this world-ending vibe, and you've just got this nice handheld camera, and it's a scene between Batman, Deathstroke, Flash, Joker, Cyborg, and you just got the guys just there with his camera handheld. You know, it's like it's such a nice contrast to the usual like large-scale epic stuff. Just to have this close-knit, unique scene that's been put together through all sorts of magic, you know, bringing everyone back, directing Ezra through Zoom calls. It's I'm gonna really appreciate that, you know.
Yeah, you know that there will be pretty, like you said, intimate scenes, right? Mm-hmm. You know there will be pretty heavy dialogue between Batman, Joker, Deathstroke, and all that stuff. So capturing those emotions and all those interactions will probably best when you use a camera like this.
Yeah.
And it's also funny to me that the Nightmare World is called a dreamscape. Mm-hmm. You know, officially, and then the camera that he shot with has a dream lens. So
it's all calculated. Funny. It's all intended.
Yeah, and there's one character that I was surprised to see in the Darkseid trailer. I don't want to spoil it in case people have been avoiding that one. But a character pops up in that scene in the Nightmare timeline that I didn't think would, because they weren't really around for the additional photography. They were somewhere else doing a different movie. You know, so I was surprised at that. And I'm interested because we knew in 2017 which actors worked in the same room together when they shot a scene. You could notice. I'm going to be interested to see if we can tell that that actor isn't actually with Ben Affleck's Batman in that scene, or Cyborg, or any of them, because he wasn't there for additional photography. So I'm going to be interested to see if we can spot it, or if Zach is just so good that he can blend it in and make it look like that. Oh, everyone's there together.
There's I don't know if you guys have seen Arrested Development. There's I don't know which season it is, but they basically, at one point, things just kind of go off the rails, and there's disputes about like payment and contract and all this stuff, and they couldn't really get the cast all together. So there are so many scenes in this one season of Arrested Development where it's just like Jason Bateman just talking to a tennis ball on a stick in front of a green screen, and then they go and eventually later shot the other half of the scene, and it's just so obvious, like really obvious. So that's the kind of vibe I get from Justice League sometimes. The original one, obviously, not the one we're getting next week, but it's just it's very noticeable. But then you have people like chatting shit about Wonder Woman's teaser and saying the CG was bad, and the image that they'd chosen to use was like basically Twitter compressed 480p shot of her standing there with the arrow. And I went back and watched it again just to see if, now that somebody points out, oh, there's bad CG, does that affect how I see it? And no change at all. What are you talking about? And then you go back and you look on the original tweet, and even like the HBO Max logo in the corner is pixelated as fuck, because it's just this low quality, low resolution image, and then CG bad. Come on, guys, you're being so disingenuous right now. It's insane.
Yeah.
One of the things that Zach does in his movies is, especially like a movie like 300, the backgrounds and everything else is very stylistic and very intentional. So in one of the interviews, Zach also says the same thing. He was like, he says, and I quote, he says, in the future, when they see my movies, maybe they'll realize that, maybe they'll look back at my movies and say, oh, he was doing that on purpose. Mm-hmm. It was a choice.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to do that with Justice League as well. It's not that the sky looks fake. It's an intentional choice, and he wanted it to look like that. So I guess just people have to realize that. And most people are reacting over screeners, and they already are low res. So I don't know, like this happens for everything, even WandaVision.
Yeah.
So they never complain about that.
Hey, well, that wouldn't be a repeating theme at all of, people being a tiny bit biased in their reactions to things. But,
I don't,
not that we're
Man of
biased, we're not
Steel,
biased at all.
like I've never, like I don't mind bad CGI in movies. I can live with it if the story is good, if the characters are interesting. The CGI doesn't really take me out of the movie and ruins it for me. But like you
Yeah.
can't argue that Zack Snyder's CGI has been terrible in Batman v Superman
Mm.
or Man of Steel. It's been brilliant. So no, I
Yeah.
think the CGI will be fine. Yeah, there might be some parts where it might not be as crisp as others, but like the team that's been working on this has been working on it since last May, non-stop. You know what they've done is something that's never been done before, really. When it's such a
Hmm.
high-profile movie, what did they have more visual effect shots than Endgame, Kissy?
Yes.
Like
It just shows you.
2,800 or something.
It's crazy. Like that's amazing. But like one of my favorite lines from some of the prom, like we've got the trailers, character trailers. We've got the kind of the gift trailer from the official pages online, and then there's been a kind of another mini trailer as well of new scenes. So we're getting so much content right now. But one of my favorite lines is when Volko goes to Aquaman, "Pick up your mother's trident." Like just so powerful, and I can't wait to see some of his quotes.
Yeah.
Here.
I do feel
It
it's
reminds
so
me
bad.
of
Oh, go on.
his performance in Lighthouse. He's always yelling.
Yeah,
I mean, unfortunately, it's not like they brought him back for additional photography, and then Zach's like, channel that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to see
Damn
from
ye.
Volker. Just him going off the fucking deep end. But I mean,
So, right.
crazy to cut out Willem Dafoe. Like, I mean, that's just
Oh,
ridiculous. But
what an actor, and you just cut him out like it's ridiculous.
hey, it's
But,
not important to Aquaman's development at all. Who cares?
No, it's going to be interesting because Volko is going to be very different than he was in Aquaman, and so is Aquaman. The two of them are going to be so different. It's going to be like two completely different characters.
Well, that's the thing. You know, we know that like James Wan was very respectful, of Zack and his work and his vision, and the two collaborated quite a lot in Aquaman's initial stages. Much to I don't exactly know who, but much to the dismay of certain executives who were saying like, no, stop talking to Zack, make your own thing. So yeah, who knows? I mean, it could be quite an interesting dynamic. I would expect Aquaman to have some kind of consistency across the two, to say the least. Maybe Volko is the character who's a bit different across the two films, but that is what it is. My phone just lit up for some reason. Yeah, no, go on.
Yes.
Yes. How different do you think the characters will be?
Oh, I've been saying for a long time that they're going to be different. Like, even from the first Justice League trailers, when you see Aquaman, it's like a completely different character from the Aquaman movie, right? So even though I got a lot of backlash from some of the people, like, look, I don't care what you say, the Aquaman movie is not in line with the Snyderverse. It's just not. Okay, so because the main reason being the characters are significantly different, and you'll see that they are, because the Arthur that's in that movie, he's not at all like the one that we're gonna see in Justice League. And I hope more people see that, but it's not a dig on the Aquaman movie. I love that movie, and people say that movie is very campy and stuff. I'll still defend that movie. I do love it, but
Yeah, so do I.
it's not a dig on that movie. Just that just don't gatekeep.
Yeah, I mean that would be amazing if you get to gatekeeping of like it's one thing to gatekeep a character as a whole, but then to say, oh no, two films that are releasing like a couple years apart. No, Zach, you can't do your own thing with Aquaman, even though you shot
Yeah.
this before Aquaman. That's the level that we're at this point.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's Lewis, what's your favorite shot, and then what's your favorite piece of dialogue from all the trailers?
That's a hard question. Oh god.
How many do we get?
Let me think.
We'll just round off a few favorite ones.
Okay. Well, obviously the triumphant Batman shot, like the slow pan around of him standing on top of War Machine, and I do quite like the Martian Manhunter line of I've been hidden for too long, and it's time I fought for this world. I thought that was great.
About damn time.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see him in action. It's gonna be great. Superman saying, I'm here for a reason. Again, that's just like the consistent thing that's happened across all these teasers. Park Kent saying, you're here for a reason. Find out what it is. Superman saying, I've been brought back for a reason. All about his arc and finding his purpose. I think, I gotta say, I think one of the best moments is Flash's, dialogue with / in the Speed Force. And kind of him, you kind of get that feeling of him starting to discover the powers that he has and being able to time travel and shit. And yeah, him running back time with like the lamppost and the road all reforming under his feet is just awesome. But that moment where he just like says, where he's like, it's all right now, and then he just sprints into a lightning bolt. You know, he becomes this lightning bolt as he flies towards the explosion. Like, goosebumps. But last one off the top of my head would probably be Cyborg smiling in the shot after he takes off from the family plot, and he's got a quick smile on his face. So I mean, I'm guessing, speculating, probably the end of the movie, because it's obviously a different time of day to the other shot where he's at the family plot, which is at night. So maybe him revisiting there, he's got some closure, but he's happy now. So that just kind of gets me thinking about the arc that Cyborg will go through. So yeah, off the top of my head, that'd be something. And then yeah, Jessica actually could point in chat of the fact that Superman helping Batman up, and yes, okay, no, actually, yeah, that's my favorite line. The Amazons show him your fear, we have no fear. 100%. That's the best one of all the lines in my opinion. That's goosebumps.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Umesh Singh goes, for me, the shot of Batman on the War Machine. Second fave is Wonder Woman charging and clashing blades with Steppenwolf. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, some badass. Some of the cinematography has been brilliant as well. Some nice shots. The one of Deanna just looking out. KC, favorite shots, favorite dialogue.
First one obviously is the nightmare shot. I'm gonna cheat and include that one as well. So, first one is the nightmare shot. Second one is the dark side shot, and third one would be the Justice League pan out. And you can add the Wonder Woman leaping and Flash in there too. Yeah. So those are the top 5. But again, even the dialogue, it's from Darkseid, the whole teaser.
Comes good.
Brilliant. I love the line, I watched your island burn. Like, that's brilliant. And then Deanna's acting there, her face emotions is brilliant from Gal. Also the one, what's the one Deanna says about hate? Hate
is useless.
Yeah, hate is useless. That's very powerful as well, especially for Ben Affleck's Batman. I did like when Barry saves Iris and the two of them just look at each other and he runs off. And there's a nice little score there, like just little, it's hard to describe it here, but there's a nice little beat or something right there. I like that. I think there's a song that's supposed to play in that scene because Zach was saying that he had to get copyright issues done for a song that he was going to use. So in that scene, so I'm interested to see what that is. And then, of course, like Superman looking around the other suits, and you see some of the Kryptonian war suits, maybe even a Supergirl suit, a different variation of the Supergirl suit at the very back. That's what I think it is. I don't think it's going to be the exact same as Superman's one. But yeah, some of those were my favorite. And then from today, from Cyborg, I just like the well, I'm not broken and I'm not alone. You know, that's pretty powerful as well. So I'm glad to see Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman get some more screen time and give a right interpretation of the characters that we're going to do back in 2017, because they get a lot of hate for being the worst. But also, my favorite shot is Jared Leto's Joker. Yeah, holding the card. So,
how could I forget? Well, yes. I added the nightmare one, so it includes the Flash, Batman.
Jared Leto's laugh is creepy as F. It's oh my god!
Did you notice how it started at a low octave and then went into the typical
I can't wait to hear it. It's like similar. It's like I'm glad he kept kind of the Suicide Squad one. He didn't completely change it. He's like, haters, I don't really care. Like, I'm going to use this laugh because it's creepy. It just sends chills down your spine. But his makeup's very strong. I didn't think it'd be that strong. In that pic, it looks very bright. You know, it was a bit blurred at the background, but it looks to be pretty insane. But Jessica goes, the Superman helping Batman up, and the line, "Show them your fear." Yeah, brilliant. And then Nicotina's here on top of Nicotina. When Barry runs off, is how KC acts when he gets near a hot girl. So that's.
I mean, that's impressive more than anything else. Like, I wouldn't even take that as a criticism. I'd be like, whoa. I could run that fast, I'd do that.
Yeah. We've got V in the chat. He goes, Superman kicking Steppenwolf. Yes, that's a good shot. Instead of just punching Steppenwolf, I'm going to kick him.
Yeah, full on. This is Sparta 300 star. And defending Cyborg as well. You can see his little legs behind Superman's cape, which I like. Yeah. Maybe that's his re-entrance. And just like, yeah, fuck you. Get away from this guy. That'd be pretty cool.
It's cool. But we're probably going to get some more teaser clips for TV spots, things like that.
I think we're getting the Nightmare one tomorrow, because the way I see it, I think they wanted to keep Cyborg last to transition into the Apocalyptans, because Cyborg has the mother box thing, and he sees the nightmare vision in his teaser.
Yeah.
So it probably transitions into that other teaser, because we see the color as well in this one. In Cyborg's one is similar to the one from the nightmare. So maybe we're getting it tomorrow.
It's interesting that we're getting so much stuff. Like, I know we're like, oh my god, I've seen so much of this film, but like average audiences need to see that this is different.
Yeah.
They need to see Jared Leto's Joker. They need to see this dark side. Oh my god, who is this? He wasn't in it in 2017. You just need to see that this is a new movie that's coming out and get them interested. Like, you don't have to watch the teasers if you don't want to, but I kind of watch them. You just watch them because it's hard to stay away from them.
Yeah, and especially when if it is just the teasers, like 40-second teasers, and it's so easy for the general audience to just go, whatever, I'll just watch this before a YouTube video or something. It airs as an ad, or it's not like, oh, it's like a 3-minute trailer, I can't be bothered, There's an attention economy that we live in, to say the least.
I tell you why it was a good idea putting them on Twitch as well, because a lot of gamers on Twitch, obviously, and like those guys and girls, of course, they love kind of badass things. They love kind of like out there things. So I think it could get the gaming community very interested in it as well. Like, they see this dark side, they see a Batman look like this, they see Joker, oh my god. So I think it's a good way to market the movie on a different platform as well, through Twitch, and even TikTok is going well too. So there's good variations to market this movie. But Nicotina says, instead of him saying, I'm also a big fan of Justice, maybe he says, I'm also a big fan of 300. So that could be...
They say that and just look straight at the camera as he does it, just, nod disapprovingly to the audience, who are just like, oh my god, straight into the lens.
And then Nicotina says, I think it's fascinating that the Smith dead shot was originally going to be part of the nightmare sequence. Yes, we didn't really talk too much about. We might do a full movie buff show on the storyboards, because they're not really spoilers. Even Zach said it himself, actually, on Grace Randolph, that these aren't spoilers for his continuation of the story, because those were 5 years ago, and he'd add new things to it. So there's no Jared Leto Joker in those storyboards. There's no Deathstroke in those storyboards. So there's so much in that won't be in his continuation if he does 2 and 3. Is that what your guys' thoughts are as well?
Casey?
Is
he dead?
He's muted for a sec.
Oh, yeah. Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean,
sorry.
I think it's an interesting game that they're playing, right? Obviously, he wants the exposure on the storyboards. He wants it to be like this path to sequels. But then it's like it's that balancing act, right? It's, if people see these storyboards and think, holy shit, this is insane, how much of that, if the reaction is this overwhelming, like, holy crap, do this, how much of that does he then keep? How much of it does he then adapt? So I'm sure he probably has revised storyboards that, in his spare time, he's kind of redone them and said, oh, I'll replace this character with that, I won't do this, I'll do this instead. And like, it just kind of strikes me that that's the sort of thing that he's already done, and he kind of just has that firm idea of what he wants to do in the sequels in his own head. But it's such a, I mean, I'm speaking more to the notion that these storyboards exist publicly in the first place, rather than what would happen to them. It's just, I remember seeing that someone put a picture up for the exhibit, and it was just, it was that like a nightmare with the plane crashed on it, and it was like, oh, okay, this is kind of weird, just kind of popped up out of nowhere. And to have all of this stuff inside is ballsy, I think it reminded me of the whole Peter Jackson thing, where he was trying to get his script away from Harvey Weinstein or whatever, so he just leaked it so that people would know what his script was before if Harvey managed to get access to it. It's just that ballsy. It's almost, Zach's, I'm going to leave it on a USB in a toilet somewhere and hope that someone gets it. It's a ballsy move to just say, oh, you guys don't want to greenlit my sequels? I'm just going to tell the world what I was planning originally, and you can't stop me. So
yeah,
I mean, that was a whole lot of drama in and of itself. People getting Twitter accounts, getting copyright strikes, and getting attacked and taken down. And I mean, we lost a few. I do remember there were a few accounts that got deleted pretty much permanently because of that. So yeah, a very weird game that's being played at the moment. But there's some 4D chess going on that we're unaware of, I think.
Yeah, the thing about it is like, it's kind of Zach's mock Justice League arc. What could have been if there was no studios, no interference or anything like that. That could have been the story, but things changed, things developed. while he was 3 years away from the Snyder Cut, he thought of new things. He thought of bringing Jared Leto's Joker in and interact with Batman. He thought about Deathstroke. He thought about showing more of the Nightmare. He thought about different, more dark side, things like that. So yeah, it can change, and it probably will change. He probably keeps some elements of it in there, but instead of Will Smith's Deadshot, it might be Deathstroke. Instead of Riddler, it might be Joker, but do a new arc. Casey, what was your thoughts on the storyboards?
Firstly, Lewis, you're right. He already has new storyboards, and he confirmed that yesterday on Grace's interview.
Oh, it's because me and him, private DMs. So I was just hey man, you got new ones? He's like, yeah. You can drop that as an exclusive on your show tomorrow, And then he went on, did it on another interview. Like, come on, man, I gotta have a word with him.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the time when they were, doing all this planning, it was a different time, and the DCEU was much more connected and planned. All these movies that were coming out, Zach probably wanted to make some sort of connection to every single movie, like he did with Wonder Woman. He had that photo connection, and he wanted, according to the storyboards, he wanted individual villains from those movies to be in his plan, right? So he had Riddler, Dr. Maru, and all those people. So I don't think Riddler can be replaced with Joker, only because, well, maybe it would be a big joke if Joker actually solves the anti-life equation.
Well, I don't mean like solving the anti-life. I mean just give he'd replace, he'd have a different arc in the story.
Yes, I thought that as well, but I think Zach would need the Riddler just to solve the anti-life equation. But as I was thinking that, it would be the big joke, right? If only Joker could have solved it the whole time. That would be a very Zach thing to do. So he might do that. And
might be
again, but I don't want him to die though, so
I know, yeah, I don't either. I'd be very sad if Jared was killed. Especially if he shoots his head at his own face. Like, what? You can't touch a beautiful man.
What if he does that and it just, a word like bang comes out?
Yeah, no. But yeah, the story, we'll probably do Lewis, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do a full show on the storyboard breakdown, just to go through, because there's so much in it. And it'll just be a little fun. It'll be like an Elseworld what if kind of thing of the Snyder, just go through it. Because I read it and I was fascinated big time. And KC loves a lot of it too. But and Nicotina goes, the Green Lantern illustration was no doubt Hal Jordan. Do you think that part has changed? Who knows? I think we get. He prefers Jon Stewart. He said that, but doesn't mean he just plans on using Jon Stewart. It could be both of them. So yeah, who knows what's changed? What's going to still be there? Is Bruce and Lois still going to get together? I think we get a little bit of a hint of that in the Snyder Cut. That's just my theory, thoughts. But I like that idea because it's something different we've never seen before.
And that's another thing to think about is how there's two things that I find like my two biggest kind of interests when it comes to the Snyder Cut and eventually watching it. One is how much hindsight editing was done, having seen or knowing fan reaction to the theatrical cut, whether he's seen it or not, or we know he hasn't, but just general discourse that he's heard around the movie, things he's heard about different characters that have gone off to do their own films. There's not a whole lot I imagine he could have done because obviously he had everything shot, but will there be... It'd be an interesting thing to ask him after the film comes out is say, what were the big things? Were there any big things at all that you maybe tweaked here and there just because of the benefit of hindsight? And then the other thing is how much teasing does he do for sequels? Because, he's obviously done countless interviews and he's been very...
Sorry.
Man's watching other work on the job. Come on. You understand.
No, the Cyborg trailer a 10-second clip just dropped. Someone sent me. I was trying to watch it on mute.
But yeah, like how we know he's been very coy. Every time he's asked about it, he's always like, yeah, this is what I was going to do in Justice League 2, but that's never going to happen, right? That's it's again looking right at the camera and saying that's never going to happen, is it? So he's very coy and he's very cheeky with all the stuff he says. So the amount of things that are in the Snyder Cut of like, if it's just a big, this is Justice League 2, this is what I would do, here's a big teaser, here's a cliffhanger, here's this, here's that, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most. I'm going to try and refocus and just keep my attention on the Snyder Cut so I can actually enjoy it in and of itself. and then go back through and say, okay, how much groundwork has he done for a sequel? Because it's all well and good to make a film as great as possible so that people want more, but to give people real something to sink their teeth into for a sequel, it'd be interesting to see. And with Casey's point about complete CG scenes and complete CG shots and whatnot, how cheeky has he been? 70 mil. That's a lot of dollar.
Like he first came out and said it was 4 or 5 minutes of additional photography, and I understand why he said that, because people were saying, oh, he's just going back to shoot a whole new movie.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get rid of those arguments again, because if the movie came out and it was different and it was good, people would say, oh, he just shot a new movie. The Snyder Cut never exists. I understood that, but then he came out in the recent interview with Empire, I think, or one of those. We did 10 minutes of additional photography. Who was that?
Total Film, yeah.
10 minutes of additional photography. So then the kind of goalposts have moved again a bit, from 4 to 10. And then you see a lot of stuff from Darkseid. And I don't think a lot of those stuff were done back in 2017, like shot with Ray Porter. I'm guessing Ray Porter maybe added a little bit more voice to the film, add a bit more, and they just you don't need Ray Porter there. I'm sure you just CGI everything around. And
Darkseid is essentially like the biggest tease, the biggest thing that he can do more of to set up sequels, right? And say, well, this guy wasn't in the theatrical cut, so let's just give him an extra, in a scene where he's talking to Steppenwolf, let's give him an extra minute to monologue, and give people something really, because it's like Thanos teasers over the years were good, but it was a little bit here, a little bit there. Zack, if he really wants sequels, he has to do quite a bit of heavy lifting in terms of teasing people and just giving just smacking in a whole new scene with Darkseid, if that is what he has done. Again, just spitballing. That could be a pretty effective strategy.
Yeah, and I even said when Zach said 4 minutes, Zach is lying there. He's lying in a good way, but there's definitely more here, because Harry Lennox, Martian Manhunter, he shot new footage there. Mm-hmm. He brought back Jared Leto, Ray Fisher, Joe Manganiello, Batman, Amber Heard. All these people came back for scenes that was 4 minutes. No way. And then all these scenes that's popping up with Darkseid, there's definitely, he said 10. I'm going to guess there's a little bit more than that, because I just think Zach would definitely be pulling, trying to pull a fast one to get more and more in. But Casey, what was your thoughts on the additional photography kind of runtime?
I hope there's more than 10 minutes or something, even, because especially you don't have to have 4 or 5 minutes of footage to make more scenes. Like I said, there can be fully CGI scenes, and Ray Porter can just send in the audio files and they can make it happen. So it seems like that has happened based on the teasers we're seeing. And speaking of that, it's fucking awesome, the Cyborg one. The one I just saw.
Check that out. I was thinking, when it comes to additional photography, not with the additional Ray Porter scenes, I'm going to imagine him in his cupboard, with a coat over his head recording it. Maybe you hear in the middle of a Darkseid line, you just hear a dog barking in the distance. He's had to just record it in his cupboard so he gets the best audio. But you never know. I'm sure he's done a professional job.
Yeah, but that new scene of Granny Goodness, that was done recently as well. And that wasn't any of the big actors. That was a new scene that was shot recently. And so who knows how much he added? Who knows? But yeah, there's a new Victor Stone 10-second trailer out. He uses some pretty badass guns as well, and he kind of gives Steppenwolf a shoulder. So pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, Nicotina goes, what did you guys think of the scene on the trailer where, if you don't want to, if you haven't watched the Darkseid trailer, then mute off now, and I'll wave back when you can mute back on if you don't want to know what happened in the Darkseid teaser, because I know people don't want to see everything. But what did you guys think of the scene?
Joe Manganiello actually posted it, so it's no more a spoiler.
Oh, did he post it?
Yeah.
Well, we'll do the disclaimer anyway. If you want to go and don't want to hear anything, wait for Sean to wave like a madman, and then it's safe.
What did you guys think of the scene of the trailer where Darkseid places his hand on what looks like a grieving Superman? Now, Casey, that's a shot you talked about that's from Man of Steel, and I'm going to agree with you because Henry Cavill looks a lot younger, maybe, and it does look like a very similar scene to when he killed Zod. I think maybe Casey like that, but is it Darkseid hand or is it Steppenwolf's hand that's on Superman's shoulder? And why is Superman grieving and crying instead of fighting Darkseid? Who is injured or what just happened?
So I have two theories. One is the most popular one that's floating around. It's probably just a repurposed scene from Man of Steel. They are using because Cavill wasn't available. So they can use it for a new scene in which either Steppenwolf or Darkseid is just talking to him, And Superman obviously doesn't need to have any dialogue in that scene. And Ray Porter or Ciaran Hinds can just send in the audio files again. So that's one thing. Second theory of mine is that it could actually be a dream sequence that Clark is going through, like in Man of Steel, when he talks to Zod and, the whole skull drowning thing.
Yeah.
And it could be like that, where Darkseid is going through his painful memories in order to succumb him to the anti-life. So it could be that.
It's a pretty big thing to show, right? Because
Right.
I mean, for the general audience, they're just like, oh, well, Superman is sad,
Yeah.
But for us, it's like that could be huge. That could be could be, it could be Zack going nuts to the wall and saying, oh yeah, there's this bit from what we know supposedly I think was originally purposed to happen at the end of Justice League 2. It could be like Zack's like, yeah, I'm a fucking madman. I changed my mind and I put it in this one. It could be something as crazy as that, or you can say, yeah. I mean, I like the Zod nightmare vision thing again, being a potential explanation of it. But I mean, when I first saw that, you see the arm on his shoulder, you're like, my first thought was the whole Justice League 2 thing is going to happen in this film. That was straight panic stations. I was like, I think there would be insanity. That was just my knee-jerk reaction was, there's no way in hell that happens here. But I mean...
Because he's not grieving over...
I think it would be much more emotional if it was the Justice League 2 thing.
But if it was Cyborg or Aquaman injured or Wonder Woman, would he have that much grief for people he barely even knows? Would he really feel that emotional in that moment? As an audience member, would you believe him being that way towards someone he's never really met, like a cyborg? So, could it have something to do with Martha Kent? Could it have something to do with Lois? Yeah, I was just thinking in the back of my head,
maybe something.
Are you talking about Lois?
Yeah,
dude.
Because,
I think this is the best one yet, best theory yet. That could exactly be it. After Lois dying and he's just succumbing to the anti-life right in front of us.
You think the Justice League 2 idea got put into this one? Are you riding that train
probably. Now? No, I thought that it would be at the end of the movie if it was in, right? Because that would be the quote-unquote massive cliffhanger.
Yeah.
If the movie just ends on that. So
I mean,
people would freak out.
Debbie say that and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, and this isn't spoilers, don't worry, but didn't she say that the original ending that they had planned, before stepping down, is no longer the ending that the Snyder Cut has? So when was that decision made? That's because then that raises a whole load of other questions. If it's right at the start and they just went, oh, we'll just change this and we'll just maybe put our additional photography nightmare scene, we'll put that at the end. Or is it that they went, oh, well, that scene that we shot that we were going to save for Justice League 2? Why don't we put that at the end right now?
Yeah.
That's a very real possibility. If you want to go for sequels and you want to do something crazy,
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprise me if he did shoot some stuff in 2016 that was supposed to end off in part 2. He just shoot it over here now. We have all the money. Okay, we'll just shoot a little bit extra and we'll keep the rest of the footage because we're going to see we saw a different perspective of the Man of Steel fight with Zod and Superman. We saw a different perspective we're going to see a different perspective of Superman dying as well. So who knows how much footage he actually shot and what he kind of decided to shoot then for the future films. So I wouldn't be surprised if Darkseid puts his hand on Superman's shoulder and says some badass dialogue, and then it cuts to black. 5 years later, nightmare timeline, movie ends. You're like, what the fuck is going on? I want to see more of this. And I bet you people at Warner Brothers are probably a little bit annoyed that Zack got the money to go and do additional photography.
Everyone
and maybe
is.
set up an entire new ending, and them thinking, okay, the Snyder Cut's coming out. Okay, we know the ending. It's not really that big of a thing. It's like a Superman or a Man of Steel ending or a Batman v Superman ending. It doesn't really need a continuation. But then if they knew that he went back and they don't know exactly what he shot, they're and then they find out and they're like, oh my god, if people are going to be asking us for another 3 years for a sequel to this. So I think crazy stuff.
That's the thing. It's as you say, he is the type of man who would do this. He is the type of guy who would say, I mean, if I want to be giving him all of the credit that I can right now, I think as soon as he starts to see the on-set presence of your Jeff Johns and your John Bergs or whatever, I would not be surprised if he was just like, hey, there's this scene I've got for Justice League 2, but I'm just going to shoot it now, just for laughs. It's not going to be in the film, don't worry. And then, Curb Your Enthusiasm meme happens, and all of a sudden it's everyone sat at their homes watching this scene that Zach's like, haha, fuck you, I just put this in the end of my movie to mess with you. But that is, it's a very real possibility. And it's like, it could be any number of things, right? It could be any sort of cliffhanger. It could be like Cyborg, they're all just stood there together, and then all of a sudden Darkseid takes control of Cyborg, and then Cyborg just starts going fucking AWOL on the team, or he just like, I don't know. It could be anything like that. It could be like the Flash goes into the Speed Force and just disappears, and it's like, what happened? That's a cliffhanger. But knowing Zach, this is going to be like the biggest fucking cliffhanger he could possibly do. So then you just go to the far end and you say, well, what is the biggest cliffhanger that we know of that he could possibly do? The Justice League 2 idea is a very real thing, but in that teaser, I think he would be going fucking berserk if that happened. But maybe that's the anti-life equation has this neutralizing effect. He's just angry, but his soul is just so broken that he can't convey his despair. Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
And I know Amy Adams probably didn't come back for additional photography unless she has a great poker face. But you don't even need to see her, because I don't think Zach would actually show her being killed or being chopped in half by Darkseid as much. I think you could get away with it of somehow a lot of good camera work. Darkseid uses his beams, Superman. You look at Superman crying, then his hand goes on his shoulder. Then you cut the Darkseid piece of dialogue, cuts to black. There's a way of doing it. So yeah,
you only need 3 people for that. You need Amy Adams. You need Ben Affleck, who came back for additional photography. Because of what happens in that Batcave, and you need Superman to fly in, and then
we could get Sean with a wig. We could do this ourselves, over a Zoom call. We could, it's.
I mean, I'm just saying it's easier to do than we think.
It is.
Good camera work, good editing. Footage not used. There's a way of doing it. There's a way of doing it. So,
but then it's like, do you go to the far end and do you say that this is something that maybe Zach did actually shoot? Like they actually shot it back in 2016, and then Zach's like,
probably.
I feel like putting this in my movie now because I want to do sequels, and this is the best shot I have of doing it, and I'm gonna go for the Hail Mary play.
He could have. I wouldn't bet against it, because the man. None of us knew a lot of this was in the 214 cut, and even 214 cut's been extended to 4 hours. And a lot of stuff we still don't know that's in this movie.
That was the thing. I think with the I don't know if it's 214 trailer or there was some teaser or whatever released in between that and the Hallelujah trailer, where it just kind of hit me like, I thought I knew this film. I thought I knew what was gonna come, and like I am clueless. Everything I thought I knew is just like a fraction of this movie, and given that it's something that we've all been following for years, it's like, and it's something that we've all been, almost religiously following, like a cult, as we all are members of the cult. It's been something that we've been following so intensely for all this time, and Zach has kept so much stuff close to his chest. It's like, it's crazy. Imagine if he was just like, in the time where he didn't think the film was going to come out, he's just like, yeah, this is everything that happens in my movie. But instead, he was cryptic, and he teased things, and he was smart about the whole thing over years to come, and it worked.
He hasn't mentioned Lois Lane in years as well. Ever since he dropped that kind of information, he never brought up again. But just to get up in the chat here, Nicotina goes, it could be that Batman is telling another character during the nightmare sequence the events that took place when Lois died. Yeah, it could be a little what's going on now, flashback. Jessica goes, I'm pretty sure Zach spoke about it a couple of years ago, but Superman was supposed to look into the boom tube, see Darkseid, and we would watch Lois die through a premonition thing. Could be something as well, a vision. Barcelona B goes, I agree. I think the Lois thing is going to be a cliffhanger. Nicotina goes, and I remember Zach took a lot of inspiration from Lord of the Rings. So if the scene is Batman recollecting his memories of the moment that Lois died and Superman succumbed to the anti-life equation, all good theories. It would be similar to the scene in Lord of the Rings when Hugo Weaving's character recollects the memory of when the fate of men failed. So lots of good stuff in the chat. Got Sickness here. What's up, Sickness? Iger's here. There better be an announcement for Justice League 2 within 48 hours of the release, like Wonder Woman 3. And then Brian's here as well. You talked about WandaVision yet? No, we didn't, Brian.
No.
That should be funny. But yeah, the Justice League 2 announcement, it could happen. Wouldn't put it against one of ours, but play with everyone's good side. This movie's getting really successfully talked about. And Toby Emmerich comes in and says, we're doing it, Justice League 2. And everyone loves Toby Emmerich. We're all cheering around Toby Emmerich, getting T-shirts. We love Toby, something like that. So that could happen. And you know what? If Toby does come out and say, we're doing it, I'll get a tattoo that says, I love Toby.
Well, there you go.
So-
You heard it here first. Exclusive on the Movie Buffs. Sean will be getting that tattoo. But, like, I mean, this is the thing. Like, I don't even mean to be, like, an idealistic. I think purely from being, like, as pragmatic and objective as possible, I just think that the Justice League numbers are going to dwarf Wonder Woman's. Like, Wonder Woman was this film. It was just like, oh shit, it's coming out on HBO Max now. Like, we've been knowing about the Snyder Cut coming out on HBO Max for like a year, like, well, almost, because it was May last year, right? So,
yeah.
like, that's had a much longer trajectory, and we've had the trailers, and everything is HBO Max is on it. HBO Max is in the corner of every trailer, every single piece of marketing. It's HBO Max, and and we're seeing the subscriber growth, and then we're seeing. And we're seeing all the distribution worldwide. So they're going to get the data. They're going to get the worldwide data on the day. And they're going to see this immediate impact. And I'm not going to make any predictions because then somebody will just replay this back and I'll never live it down. But, like, it's just, you can't help but feel that the numbers are going to be huge. Whether the reception is good or bad, you just know that the numbers are going to be huge for it. And it's like, if Wonder Woman 3 can get greenlit that fucking quickly...
Yeah,
you never know.
I think a big part of greenlighting Wonder Woman 3 was to say it was a success on HBO Max. It was a way of saying, wow, this came out, big success, we're going to do a number 3, and there's been nothing about it really since. So I just think that was a big marketing thing from Warner Brothers as well. Us moving, all the controversy about moving all our movies to HBO Max, well, it's worked, so we're greenlighting a sequel to this one. So, but Casey, what's your thoughts on the Justice League 2?
Yeah, I don't want it to be like the Wonder Woman 3 announcement because that's completely fake as fuck. And I don't want it. I would want it like that from WB at all. Like, if it's happening, it should happen, in my opinion, it should happen at HBO Max without the involvement of WB, Toby Emmerich, Walter Hamada, any of that shit. And that's the only way I see Zack coming back too. Like, I don't think he'll come back if they're even slightly involved in distributing or anything like that. Not even creatively. I think they should completely be cut off. Only then he'll come back. I don't see it happening otherwise.
Well, I think that Snyder Cut would be, if it is a success, would be the ultimate piece of evidence to say Warner Bros. Shouldn't be anywhere near this franchise, which is it's quite a remarkable conversation to have about one of Warner Bros. Biggest franchises, to say it should be nowhere near it. But I think it could, at least the Snyderverse can live happily.
Exactly. I think it's fine if they continue doing their, other movies like Suicide Squad, Batman, and even though I am interested in some of them, I think it's best to keep them separate. The Snyder 5-part arc can be separately on HBO Max, and the rest of the movies, they can even go and make a Justice League movie with the characters they have, or taking, Henry Cavill, different character, maybe not different, but the way he wants to play him, they can take that as well, and have Ben Affleck, whatever. Just go make a Justice League movie that's not in the Snyderverse. It's fine. I'd be fine with it. I don't know why they think that I would confuse the audience or anything, because there's only 2 more movies that Snyder wants to do. So just make them. Like,
put them back to back.
How many shitty movies get made every day? Just do it.
Now all this money should be going to COVID research, right? You got to get your priorities straight.
Like, if he was able to shoot 4 hours of footage with a 5-hour assembly cut with Jeff Johns dialogue and then also Chris Terrio dialogue, and and do all that stuff between April and October when they finish shooting the main kind of shooting of the footage and stuff, then he'd be able to do 2 Justice League films back to back within probably that time span as well, and have it done within 6 months, shot, then work on it for a year, and then just put them out 1 year apart on HBO Max, and then it's over. The Snyderverse is over. You don't have to go back to it ever again.
Exactly.
You can leave it.
Do it and finish it off. Like,
and in terms of subscriber loyalty, like right there, you hook in so many people for several years.
They made a fucking Hellboy shit movie last year.
Yeah, even I didn't like that. I like all movies.
He was great in it, but the third act again looked like Justice League, and it was just, and that movie got financed. So don't tell me that there's lack of money over here.
Yeah, so but we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But it's all interesting stuff. And should we talk about WandaVision?
We got to get.
You
Gotta
know,
try and get our Marvel paychecks now.
Yes.
I mean, I think we can. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen the WandaVision finale, don't bother.
Good for you.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. do watch it if you haven't watched it. But yeah. So the rest of the show is basically going to be WandaVision. So if you don't want any spoilers for the finale, goodbye. But actually,
You mean the
before we get
finale
into
that never
this,
came out?
what I will say is before we get into this, in case people do like get the hell out of here, Sean, do you want to give like a little oh yeah, it's safe now. It's safe for
Forgot to do the hands thing. I probably
the thousands of people who got it on mute.
Hands going to stop.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to give a brief rundown of what we're planning on doing on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday?
Oh yeah, Sunday. So I was going to do the Justice League pre-party on my channel on the 17th, but then Lewis said to me, which was a good idea, a good thought. He says, "Well, Sean, you're going to see it on the 15th, and a few others are, and they're going to be guests. What happens if they slip something by accident, and then everyone's coming after you with pitchforks because you spoiled Justice League, or somebody spoils Justice League?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably a good idea." So to have it on the 14th, so nobody's seen it. I don't think. Is there like a screen on the 13th?
There's one on the 13th, yeah.
Yeah, well, we won't invite anybody from that. Nobody's coming to that. Whoever's involved, nobody's coming. But
I hope they play Tom and Jerry for them.
Oh, Jerry, yeah. Yeah, the 14th we'll have like a pre-party, so just a stream, 5-6 people can drink if you want, just talk about your excitement for Justice League, just have a chat, that's all it is, talking about Justice League, like theories, stuff like that. Few people leave, few other people come in, just do it for an hour, 2 hours, and just have some fun, just kind of talk to people and see their excitement for the movie. That's all, really, just some fun. Because we did a Man of Steel retrospective, a Batman v Superman retrospective, so we should have a pre-party for Justice League. And KC, you're invited.
No thanks.
All right.
Well, thank God.
And if there's anyone,
I'll
in the
join
chat,
you guys after you guys finish watching, so that I can just avoid watching it.
But if there's anyone in the chat that wants to be a part of it, just DM me on Twitter and ask, and I'll involve you. I'm friendly to everyone. There is no factions here. I don't hate you.
It's funny how you're openly torturing people.
It should be fun though. Just breaking it down, getting all excited for Justice League, and as our final like run in before the virtual premiere on the 15th, and then because as I was saying in the chat, like the last thing we want, it's the evening of the 17th, and then somebody who saw it on the 15th just slips one thing, and then we get shut the fuck down, and we are absolutely screwed. So yeah, better safe than sorry. So we'll be doing that on the 14th, but on our Twitter handles, we will tweet out info a little bit closer to the time, and hopefully maybe a list of people that may be turning up.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully Casey can come by for a few minutes and
just unenthusiastic, just a few minutes.
I'll try to heal you guys.
What?
I'll try to heal you guys.
Yeah, you might show your face that time, maybe. You're like one of these Twitter trolls.
I was going to say, that isn't him that's just been stood there with his arms folded for the last hour and a half.
Yeah, that's me.
That's very impressive. You're very good at staying still. I mean, we've been here for like an hour and a half. Jesus. I thought we'd be like 10-minute chat, then WandaVision for an hour.
WandaVision. Well, we don't have to talk an hour about WandaVision because not much happened. Really.
Yeah, but it's more like what didn't happen, but
Yeah, I liked like the whole season. I enjoyed it. When I watched it again, I probably will. I enjoyed a lot of the character arcs and themes in it. Some characters popping up for an episode. Thought it was cool. That cliffhanger. The finale. I still liked the finale. I thought some of the action was good, but it could have been bigger. I thought a lot of their arcs that they set up were let down in the finale. They didn't finish them out. And then I hear the Matt Shackman, the showrunner, saying COVID got in the way, which is kind of a shitty
excuse.
Yeah, shitty excuse to use. And but so overall, I enjoyed the show. It's just a lot of the stuff that they set up for us, they never even paid off or even tried to pay off. Like Hydra, like Quicksilver, like Dottie, like the Rabbit. Just you set up so much stuff, and they weren't like things to get you off the trail of the main plot. They were just put in there to say, "Oh, this show is about like freaky stuff, weird stuff. You don't know what's going to happen next. So we're gonna, who's the bunny? Who's Herb? What's the story with the fence?" And stuff like that. It was just kind of. I still enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm not gonna hate on it, but it was a letdown. All the stuff they set up. That's all.
Yeah, I just say Sickness is out. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you on the 14th.
See you, Sickness.
Everyone's just jumping ship. It's like, fuck it, I don't want to talk about WandaVision. Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that I remember them talking about a lot was that people would be disappointed. Like, I think it was Matt Shackman himself who said that people would be disappointed in the finale because a lot of fan theories and speculations. And it's like, fair enough to an extent, right? But we've, known for ages that, well, the consensus was that WandaVision was the step up into the introduction to the multiverse, and it would, even if it wasn't particularly explicit, even if it was just one post-credit scene, even if it was just one little, line of dialogue, just to give you that hint as to what's to come. A self-contained story in and of itself, then it becomes a second thing. It's, okay, well, take that apart. Let's be super fair to the show, so be super generous and say, let's not think about the multiverse. Let's just talk about the show on its own merits, right? And the first thing that comes to my mind, obviously, is the boner joke. And making, essentially, you're not even... It's not even a multiverse thing when you're talking about Pietro in the context of WandaVision. You are literally bringing back a fan-favorite character, a fan-favorite interpretation of a character, one that people are like, holy shit, what does this mean for the future of the MCU? What does it mean for bringing in the Fox X-Men universe and the mutants? And, it then raises all of these questions. So to then go out and say that people are going to be disappointed because of fan theories is, well, I think quite unfair. You're then kind of saying, well, no, we never said we were going to do multiverse stuff. That's your fault for misinterpreting. It's like, well, you put in Pietro from the X-Men universe. What were people supposed to think? And then you have actors who are teasing a Luke Skywalker level cameo, Paul Bettany saying there's an Avenger that I really can't wait to fight. And it's fair enough if you guys are just, shooting the shit and messing with people a little bit. But it's when it all accumulates, right? And you bring in Pietro and you bring in all of these ideas and you say, oh, there's an aerospace engineer that's coming in. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's this. And you're like, people are going to speculate. You're setting up the next phase of the MCU here. And even in and of itself, just the self-contained story of the series was, I think, a bit, let down right at the end. And it's, I don't know. I tried to be as generous as possible when I'm talking about it, but I think the Pietro casting, I think as Brian says in the chat, I think that was the shooting themselves in the foot. As, it was kind of a big misdirection.
And you know what their thinking was? I listened to Matt Jackman, or whatever his name is, showrunner. He was on Kevin Smith's show, and he talked about, the Pietro Quicksilver team was something they thought about early in the writing room. And they thought it would be a funny joke because Wanda is so on edge and she's kind of a false narrator. Mm-hmm. It'd be funny if you brought in somebody that the fan base knows played Quicksilver for real to play the fake Pietro. Yeah. And I'm like, if you're going to do that for jokes, just get a random person who was like dressed up with like a fake mustache and pretends to be Aaron Taylor Johnson. That would have been funny. At least you would have known and said, oh, that guy is supposed to be playing. Okay, funny. But don't bring in somebody who, when the next sequel to this is Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man 3, when there is characters coming from different universes, and you put them in and say, oh yeah, this is Pietro, this is Quicksilver, and it's just kind of annoying, as an X-Men fan, and to make a joke out of it, like, fair enough in the finale if he was a villain or if he was a different character or if he was the witness protection character and this was a new kind of side character, and maybe he'd pop up again in something, or even if but it's just a big letdown for me personally in that aspect. But yeah, they never should have did it because it really, and then it's a bad sign when the showrunner comes out a week before the finale and says people are going to be let down by this, and then they use COVID as an excuse. Well, then delay WandaVision and wait till you can shoot, because loads of shows came back and they shot and movies shot scenes and came back.
The whole Snyder Cut was done in
the whole 4 hours.
Justice League, all these shows came back and movies came back to shoot new footage. WandaVision couldn't have been delayed by, all you had to do was shoot one scene maybe with Doctor Strange or a bigger action sequence or something just to have that payoff. But I wasn't upset about who didn't show up. I was upset kind of about everything that they tied up with Hydra, Quicksilver, all those kind of story plots, and there was no outcome in the end. Even Monica was done dirty in the finale. Yeah,
she was really done dirty. I think that was one of the biggest injustices I felt. Like that final post-credit scene for the penultimate episode, you think, oh, well, there's going to be some kind of discovery here. And I think they announced that there was going to be a scene with her and Wanda's kids. They go in to try and steal the Darkhold or whatever, and Agatha's bunny was going to be a demon, and you're going to get some more horror elements of it all. They're like, yeah, we just didn't do it. You're like, okay, well, whether it's COVID, I don't really see how that's like the greatest reason for it. I think the Pietro thing is the biggest sin, right? I think it is the biggest kind of, it can be a bit of an insult to some people who I think are, and maybe that's taking it too far, who knows, but as I said, I've tried to be as generous as possible when it comes to just the finale and say, okay, well, rather than focusing on the multiverse stuff, let's just look at the self-contained story and the narrative, and did that deliver? Because that should be the most important thing. And it's like, at the end, not massively. It wasn't, the most it kind of felt like just the third act of a Marvel film, right? Which, for all their faults or whatever, are decent at times, and can be really good endings. But it just kind of felt like they were like, oh, what do we do for the end? Let's just have this. Let's just do this, right? But the
and they've been teeing up saying
stuff is just
big massive fight sequence happening in the final episode. It's going to feel like a big cinematic fight, and even for weeks, people who've heard that it was a big massive action sequence were like pumping it up to be this massive thing, and even that was kind of underwhelming. Not much happened. The Vision fight was pretty good, but it ended pretty quickly, and then White Vision runs off, and then Agatha is never really any threat towards Wanda whatsoever. I thought we might get Wanda versus White Vision for a little bit longer, or Wanda versus Monica for a while, but we didn't get any of that stuff, and it was just there wasn't much that happened in a finale.
Yeah, I think they should have. I completely mirror all of Sean's thoughts, and I just wanted to add that they should have at least said the COVID thing beforehand, so we are keeping our expectations in check, because the same thing happened with Doom Patrol. They had to cut their season down, and one of the random episodes were just their season finale. So at least this one had 9 episodes. The Doom Patrol one was, I think, cut short to like 6 episodes or something. So it was just a random mid-season episode, and that was the finale, and that's where it ended. So they at least told us beforehand that they couldn't shoot any stuff further because of COVID. So that's cool, right? This one, the first thing, the show was great. It wasn't average. So that's one of the biggest things that people went into the finale thinking that, oh, the show is great, so the finale must be more than that, right? And regardless of all the fan theories and all that, because I don't care about that stuff, I just think that the things they set up in their own show didn't have any consequences, and people didn't pan out, and it didn't mean much at the end, and everyone was sidelined. And that's also fine if you are having something better as a replacement, right? For example, the Wanda versus Agatha fight, if that was epic as fuck, people probably wouldn't have been complaining, because at least they did something good. Even that was underwhelming. So I was like, then what did you even do? At least they should have told us that this is not the finale and we didn't get to shoot the finale, whatever. Like, we could have at least tempered our expectations.
Yeah, and the thing is with that, like, if they did come out and say that we didn't get the chance, like, you'd feel sorry for them. You'd say, okay, like even, I know I always use Walking Dead as an example, but I'm so invested with the show, I do have to do whatever that goes on with it. Like, they had to cancel their season finale and push it back because the visual effects wouldn't have been done for the time. And then they came back, and for the fans, they shot 6 additional episodes, and those episodes are taking place now. And I even said in some of my reviews, I can't be hard on this show because these people went back to risking their lives, like in a bad time, to go give us entertainment. And you can notice in some of the episodes, characters are distant, stuff like that. It's not the same as it was, but they're giving us some form of entertainment. And even the spin-off show had to stop as well, but they're back in production now. So I just, like, and Zack Snyder's Justice League is a prime example. He shot over 10 minutes of footage we know of, and he's able to have it ready for next week.
It just feels disingenuous with the director. He's kind of like trolling the fans. So I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you compare they make the point about like them teasing a Luke Skywalker cameo. Well, spoilers for Mandalorian if anyone hasn't seen season 2. I will do a big wave if you haven't seen Mandalorian season 2. But that was that done properly, right? That was, hey, we respect the fans and we're going to give them something that they really, really want in a way that doesn't feel arbitrary. It doesn't feel like fan service. It feels like a necessary thing that ends the arc of that season, right? It made sense and it worked and people loved it.
Yeah.
You can't tease something like that and say, and this isn't me being like over exaggerative or like a reactionary. You can't go out and say, yeah, we're going to do something like that with our show and then just not do it at all. Like, there was nothing remotely comparable. And I've really enjoyed the season so far. I thought it's been great. And all of our reviews where we've talked about it, we've always said, like, this feels fresh. It feels exciting. And there's mystery about it all. And then I just kind of feel that it got to the final hurdle and I thought it was a bit like the Agatha song and reveal was just a bit too ham-fisted in my opinion. Part of the reason why the show worked so far is the fact that there was mystery and intrigue, and then it was just, no, all done, final episode, just big fight, we're done. It's like...
Yeah, and it's crazy because like Infinity War was ballsy, it was dark, it was deep, and that ending was, oh my god. And then it felt like they got afraid to be too serious. And then in Endgame, they made Thor kind of a bit of a joke, they made Hulk a bit of a joke. They brought back Gamora, those kinds of things. And why can you bring back Gamora and not bring back Scarlett Johansson? Things like that. It just not ruins it, but just kind of you were going in a really good direction. And the same with WandaVision, episode 1 to 8, you're really going in a good direction. There's so much mystery around the show.
Loved it.
But really even then, so did I. Like I even still do like the show, even though the finale wasn't what I was expecting. And I'm not upset because Magneto didn't show up or Patrick Stewart. No, those are fan theories that every single film has. Like for Justice League, we're expecting Supergirl or Green Lantern to pop up or somebody like that. But we're not going to be disappointed when it doesn't happen because it's just fan theories. It's fan fun, But if Zack Snyder was to set up like Green Lantern or different signs in 4 of the movies, and then the 5th one, no, he never showed up or something, like people would be like, well, what were you doing? And like Quicksilver is a big thing for me. That was like, why cast the same actor? Why have references? Why expand this? It looks like you're going to expand this universe, and then you just kind of cave at the end of it, and you go full MCU in the finale by making a dick joke. It's just it's
flashbacks to Iron Man 3. It's that like, oh, did you really? And it again, and I know I keep making the same point that it's fair enough if it's just the actors messing about, like the Paul Bettany saying that I have fireworks with someone who I've always wanted to have a scene with, and he's just talking about himself. Like, fair enough, you're gonna troll like that, fair enough. But if you're gonna say like, yeah, we're gonna do Mandalorian level shit, and then not do it at all, and then say, yeah, you guys are gonna be disappointed, and it's like, okay, well, you're. The reason, one of the main reasons why people got like really crazy with theories is a lot of people probably because of Mandalorian, in my opinion, but also because this has been said for ages. It's this Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2 that are this fusion that will springboard the MCU into this new fresh era. And for it to
even Kevin Feige said it at the Disney Investor Day. He goes, "This is part one of a trilogy of story."
And it's fair enough if Wanda is then going to be maybe like a villain or whatever in another film, but it's like there was nothing substantial for people to really sink their teeth into, and it just felt a bit, oh, let's just end, and I don't know. It's annoying because the show was really, really good in my opinion, and
exactly
you wanted it to be better than it was. It had its merits, it had its cool moments, but it's just like,
I thought the 8th episode was really, really good.
Yes. Yeah.
With Wanda's backstory and all that.
Really, really good. I love that episode.
They should have added 10 minutes of the finale, what happened in the finale, quote unquote finale, into that episode, and just, mixed the story from that and the finale together and just released a 50-minute episode, and that would have been the best finale they could have ever gotten.
Yeah, if you want to make Wanda have this potentially darker arc, that episode was like perfect for giving you that kind of sympathetic anti-hero villain, that you maybe feel sympathy for, that you're like, holy shit, like I'm surprised she hasn't lost it sooner because of the crappy life she's had. But yeah, it's just a bit jarring, it's a bit back and forth. I think as you said, I think that's a perfect thing of what could have been done maybe better, is to really kind of give Wanda that emotional send-off, and then to lose Vision again at the end of all of that. Like, how is that not her just fucking snapping and going crazy? Dude,
imagine hearing that Vision line that was in episode 8, and then in the same episode, Vision dies.
Yeah, that would have been a sucker punch after sucker punch. And
then they make Hayward a villain out of nothing, when he was actually supposed to, like, he was doing his job. He was investigating what was going on with Wanda. He didn't really do anything villainous in any of the episodes that had me thinking, oh, like he's the villain.
He just seemed like a guy whose motives were, against Wanda or whatever, but he was just doing his own thing. You couldn't really blame him for what he was doing.
Then he's there shooting the kids.
Yeah, he was going to murder kids. Like, what the hell?
Like, that's so out of character for that character. But so it was weird. And then the kids don't even really exist. So why should I care about the kids are about to die when they don't really exist, if the Hex doesn't exist? And then if Vision really just goes away when the Hex goes away, why should I really care for the kids? But maybe the kids come back in some other way. But they need to explain that a little bit more. How is she able to manifest kids, and how are they able to come back? And it was. I still think that Mephisto will be brought up as a main villain, but I think this show showed that the MCU shows on Disney Plus won't have anything too big. It's going to be kept for the movies. It's not gonna do something groundbreaking in these shows and set up an amazing story arc. I think they're just going to tell these kind of origin stories, these standalone stories with other characters, and then if you want to see the real kind of pieces, go to the cinema.
Which is kind of crazy because it's like the inverse of Star Wars, where they've essentially made I know I keep talking about Mandalorian, but they've essentially, the Mandalorian, I think for a lot of people is now like the bar for Star Wars, where they've said like, yeah, if you want Star Wars done right, these are the guys that you want to be watching, like your Dave Filoni's and your Jon Favreau's. Then with WandaVision, yeah, it's only a case of n=1 in this case, but it's like, if you want Marvel done properly, you don't really need to watch this. Like, I thought that there would be... I think this is something that we've talked about in the Movieverse before, where I've talked about how far did they go in either direction. Do they go too far in terms of setting up the MCU and the TV shows that people feel kind of alienated if they don't watch it? Or do they go too little where people don't have enough incentive to watch it, right? There's a really... And I do not envy the people responsible for this, because that's a difficult task. But... yeah. I don't think the WandaVision finale was the way to go. I'll put that out there.
And even somebody asked Kevin Feige, was it last year, will they have to watch all the Disney Plus shows to keep up with what happens in the movies? And he just goes, no. So that should tell you that these are just kind of more character development shows than actual moving the plot forward in the MCU. And then I think even Rockstar, they break down everything. They were kind of trying to make an excuse as well that this wasn't supposed to come out first for the new phase. It was supposed to be fourth. You're supposed to have Eternals. You're supposed to have Falcon and the Winter Soldier first, and then WandaVision was like third or fourth in this new slate. And that's why it was. That's why people thought mutants were going to show up. Not really. You introduce Quicksilver, you're having a lot of hints. The X-Men episode, the episodes he was in felt very X-Men-esque as well, and then her creating mutants and her kids having powers as well.
I feel like if you have some, and I know that you kind of touched on this before, but I think that if you have anyone other than that Quicksilver casting, 90% of these problems just fade away. Because it's like that is the most explicit situation where they're like, yeah, guys, multiverse, X-Men, yeah, look, it's him from the X-Men films, like, and then it's like, then they become reactionary and say, well, hey, you guys were the ones who got overexcited and got carried away with your theories. It's like, well, you gave a hell of a lot of ammunition. You don't cast him as Quicksilver if you're not going to go down that route, It's I don't know.
It's like
painful.
And it's even more annoying because the show was great. If the show was just very simple, average, I wouldn't even have cared.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Ryan Reynolds showed up in Birds of Prey putting on a ring. And then, like, the movie ends, and people are like, "Is he going to be Green Lantern?" And the director comes out and goes, "No, well, Harley's a false narrator. She just makes up things."
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's just like it cuts back to him, and it's just Ryan Reynolds wearing like a normal ring. Yeah, hello, my name's Bendover, or my, Dixie Normus, and everyone's like, "Ha, dick jokes." You're so funny,
But Rashi goes, there was no payoff for any of the things they lined up, like the adverts, Hydra, the Beekeeper, the Rabbit, Hayward. I can go on, the town not being real, the witness protection.
Aerospace engineer.
Yeah,
that was just disappointing. Jesus.
Monica's powers.
Well, hey.
There you go.
Monica's cool power. I like Monica. She's my favorite character, though.
And, but she was done so awesome. Dirty right at the end, man. It's like,
that scene where she gets her powers through the hex and the visual effects there were absolutely brilliant. But she should have been in some sort of fight scene.
I thought that she was going to turn out to be this hero, and then it would, obviously there's going to be some setup with some connection to Captain Marvel 2 and whatnot, but it's like, you kind of thought that it would do more to kind of say, hey, this character's really badass. Instead, it's like, she got one scene of doing something cool with her powers, and that was it, And you're like...
It's kind of like, you like Wanda? Oh, you'll see her in Doctor Strange 2. You like Monica? Go to Captain Marvel 2. Yeah. You like Darcy? Go to Thor Love and Thunder, or Thor 4. If you like Agent Woo, go to Ant-Man 3. It's like, okay.
It's annoying, because it's like, you have such a lot of effort went into the setup, and payoff just...
And even Rash is saying, like, the COVID excuse is pretty poor. Like, other teams were filming during COVID, and Barcelona...
Even if you don't film it, just say it outright. Like,
own it.
Just not... just do it before going into the finale.
Or you could have even done an animated episode, a full animated episode. For episode 7 or 8, at least you'd have 10 episodes there, and one of the episodes.
I think people would have lost their shit if they did that.
I would have liked that. That would have been cool. Kind of like Community. Did you ever watch?
MCU fans are very harsh.
I mean, it's kind of crazy because you think that one of the things that I think is kind of uncontestable about Marvel in its entirety is Kevin Feige knowing exactly what he wants, right? And just saying, like, all of the films have to have this tone, they have to have this kind of formula, and that is a bit obvious in some films, a little less obvious in some others, but he knows the direction, and he is the head honcho, and he's responsible for it all. The WandaVision's finale seems so inconsistent with the Kevin Feige we know. Exactly. So I don't know if it was a bit more of a hands-off approach when it comes to the shows, or what. I don't know. Based on what we've seen in the MCU so far, I'm very surprised that there was no Kevin Feige. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I'm pure speculation here, and I acknowledge that, but like, I can't help but feel that Kevin Feige would have been like, have some setup for something new, do something rather than just
the Skrulls. I didn't care for the Skrulls whatsoever coming up, and then the last sequence then with Wanda in the house, that's pretty cool. But I just think, show us that the story continues in the next movie. Have Doctor Strange for a second. Use a scene from Doctor Strange 2 because they're filming that right now. Do something just to show fans, well, the story continues here, that kind of way. But yeah. But Barcelona B goes, it's kind of confusing. First they said it was Wanda, then Agatha, then mostly Wanda again. The fights also felt underwhelming to me.
Mm-hmm.
There was the one thing that I really did not like about the finale is the bit where, and I don't want to be like totally negative. There are a lot of things that I really enjoyed, but the one thing that I just absolutely did not like was when she uses her mind control powers on Agatha, where she just sneaks up behind her, and obviously they just got Elizabeth Olsen to just walk up to her and then just sped up the clip.
It just looks style.
Yeah, it just looks so goofy. I cannot, for the life of me, just have her appear there and do a power rather than just walk really quickly and go behind her. Like, it's just, it kind of pulled me out of the film for
I think they just wanted to stay consistent with the Age of Ultron thing because it was funny even then.
It's one of those things that stood out, and I don't want to be overly negative because the show is fantastic. Finale aside.
That's the thing about nitpicking, right? If you make a great episode and stuff, people will forgive your nitpicks.
Yeah.
So if it's bad, it even more comes out. Like, this was bad and that was bad, and every little thing pops out.
Yeah, like
if the action was brilliant, you would have been like, "All right, cool." Some of the action didn't end the way I wanted to, but that action scene, wow.
Yeah.
Just the idea that Hayward would go from just being a man on a mission to shooting 2 kids in the head point blank is it's a bit extreme. But
I got pumped when Did
you say white power?
White vision.
No, I was trying to say that I liked when White Vision was holding Wanda by her skull and was kind of trying to crush it.
Oh yeah, that was horrible. Then the sound effects on that, Jesus.
The fake Vision or whatever, the Hex Vision came in and hit him, and I was like, "Oh, here we go." And that was
it.
Cool.
Was a Smallville fight.
I was getting pumped up. And then
that was so uncomfortable really when he was holding her head and it sounded like a skull was cracking under his hands. I was like, where the hell is this going? Just have this brutal
It was almost
execution.
Like, don't you dare threaten my Wanda. He was punching.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have been mad about that. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Plus everyone that died is going to come back anyway, so kind of waste of time, he says. But no one's ever dead in the MCU anyway, so...
What do you think about the fact that, like, essentially she's conducted, like, an act of terrorism, and then, she basically abducted an entire town, held them against their will under the threat of, banishment or, injury or death or whatever, mind control, loads of people, and she just leaves. And I was like, all right, well, you're just a bit sad.
But hey, it's the MCU, so no consequences.
Yeah, it's like, it's just one of those things that, like, that would have been a really interesting part if, like, all of a sudden it ends, like, right at the end, it goes, like, huge nationwide manhunt for Wanda. And then, if you combine that with the emotional shit and turmoil she went through and losing Vision again, now all of a sudden she's on the run from the world, like, in a really, like... Let's load up all these tanks and these guns and let's go hunt a woman, like just have something like big in scale, consequences for that. And it's like, holy shit, now it's like, do I feel for Wanda? Do I support her because she did some bad shit, but all of this? Like, then there's turmoil there. I'm not saying I could do a better job, but like, it's just, it feels like a missed opportunity,
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Barcelona B goes, the directors think trolling us is funny, which is the problem in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're probably in the writer's room like, oh, we're going to get them here. We say, right, get this rabbit, and just have no conclusion to the rabbit whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a Chekhov's gun. It's like, why would you have the rabbit anyway? If, like, this, again, maybe you don't need to go all that crazy, but it's like, oh, I'm evil and I have my bunny, and, it's like, and now that we know that there was originally a plan with the bunny to have it be a demon and bring out the darker side of the MCU, it's like, again,
it would have been fine if they do the bait and switch with Quicksilver, if they, like I said, if they actually have something compelling in the finale, like if the Agatha stuff was actually compelling, but it was not. She was very weak as fuck. Like, it just didn't make sense. Like, even in Iron Man 3, which I liked, I didn't mind the Mandarin switch, even though it was a little bit underwhelming, but I can understand why comic book fans were pissed as fuck for that. But to me, I didn't know who that was, so it was fine for me. But same. Again, even in that, the finale, I mean, the third act was very big in scale, right? So I think it was forgiving for the most part, because they had Pepper and all that stuff, and then even for the emotional parts, they have the Tony's PTSD and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
that was really good.
It was cool. But again, this was like,
But even for the show, like, Elizabeth Olsen was brilliant. Like, Wanda, the sitcom element was all brilliant. Yeah. Paul Bettany's Vision, all of that was brilliant. The mystery was brilliant. Yeah. Monica Rambeau, brilliant. Love that stuff. Hayward, thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I still like the show and I'll watch it again. But there was loads of things to love about this show, and I think everyone gave great performances. The writing for the most part of the season was pretty good until they let you down near the end. But even Rashi goes, they could have easily had a quick scene of Doctor Strange looking alarmed because he can feel someone with immense power using the mirror. They just take a scene of Doctor Strange too, because they're already filming that for a while. Just put it in this for a post-credit scene.
Yeah, I actually thought in the post-credit scene we would see him, because she seemed to be in those, mountain areas like Strange was before he actually became Strange, in Nepal, I think.
Yeah.
He was there in, that house. So this looked very similar to that. I thought, Benedict would come out of the room and something, and he was actually mentoring her.
Yeah, I think that idea from Russia is just it. That was like my minimum expectation, was just one explicit connection, just to be like, hey, Doctor Strange has sent something, and all of a sudden you're like, oh. Now I'm hyped for Doctor Strange 2 because I really love that show. That I really love WandaVision, and now I'm like ready for Doctor Strange 2. But it was just it's like it got right to the very end and just missed that last step,
Yeah, there's one cool thing though that happened, which was a connection. So we are still talking spoilers, right? So when that second post-credit scene happens and we see Scarlet Witch learning the Darkhold and stuff, we hear the Doctor Strange theme. So that was a cool connection.
And the kids screaming as well. So
yeah.
It's just, I feel that it's, again, maybe I'm giving them too hard a time. Something like a Doctor Strange theme, it could something that just straight over a lot of people's heads. Like, oh, it's just some cool music. Like, I watched Doctor Strange years ago. I don't know what his fucking theme is, It's like at least like if it's something in DC or whatever with like Wonder Woman, it's like that is a real everyone knows that music, the violin hitting, and you just know who that's in reference to. Or like the Superman, the dun-dun, that's recognizable, right? And that's what I think that's one of my biggest grievances with the MCU is. The soundtrack game is just really poor, in my opinion. Like, okay, let me rephrase that. Not really poor, but it's just samey, Like, I kind of hope that if they go down the horror vibe, that the music reflects that, and it's not just a violin building up to a jump scare for 2 hours straight. It's just it's one of the things that I don't know. People shit on DC all the time, but it's one of the things that Marvel could easily learn from the others. But on its own. Show was fantastic, and I'm not going to be the whole my Marvel, my DC. It's just
I liked the show overall too. Like and about the score, I think Marvel doesn't have a score problem actually, because I think most of their scores are pretty great. But the problem happy to disagree. The problem there comes from them not using them. Because on their own, the themes are pretty good, but since they don't use them consistently, we don't remember them. So if you go back and listen to the Iron Man theme and even Doctor Strange theme and stuff like that, you don't usually listen to them as much, except in certain scenes, and that's because they have a problem of recreating the temp music that they use for their films. So they have this temp music that they do before, actually scoring the film, right?
Yeah.
So because they keep listening to that, and the temp music is usually old classic scores, which is very familiar to people, they actually make their artists recreate the same scores. So that's why it's actually very similar to what we keep hearing, the generic stuff.
Okay.
But I think their themes are good. But again, they don't repeat that in the movies when they appear, so no one remembers them. It's always just the Avengers theme.
Oh, I mean, I'm happy
Yeah.
to be happy to be corrected in that regard, but it's one of those things that it's such it sounds like such a minute thing, but it completely transforms what you're watching.
Yeah,
Like you take that Wonder
absolutely.
Woman entrance scene in BVS and you replace that with a generic soundtrack, and you lose all of the impact. But
Yeah.
that's just me. That's me
Yeah.
being a real nitpicker, and
No, that's actually
not
legit. Like
apologizing.
people actually say that about the MCU scores, but I have noticed that they actually do have good scores. Not the greatest, they do have good scores, but they don't use them. So that's why they get so undermined.
Yeah. But overall, I liked WandaVision. I'll probably watch it again, so I don't ultimately hate it.
I won't.
Is a Game of Thrones level scarring of finales, but yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to. Come on, guys, there's like something
Yep.
coming out next week, I think, and then Godzilla vs Kong and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we got a lot on our plates.
Yeah.
BVS IMAX dropping.
Awesome. Good time to be a fan.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right.
But
Well,
that's
that's 2 hours. That was a nice time. Thank you both. Well, Sean, it's your job. Thank you, Krypton, for being here. So it's nice to have you. Nice to have everybody in the chat again. And we will be the movie buffs and Casey will return in the Zack Snyder's Justice League pre-party, hopefully, if we don't do another movie buffs before then. But 14th, Sean's channel link will be in the description if I remember.
And if you wanna, I've seen it. I've seen something. If you want to go see what I've seen, there's a 32-second clip on my channel. If you want to go have a look, I've seen something. And if whoever's in the comments wants to go have a look, maybe a laugh. I don't know. That's all I'll say.
All right, cool. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you when we see you.
Bye.